Hello and welcome to For Future Generations, episode 75 for the 9th of August. And I don't know where y'all are, but here it's still summer and it is hot outside. And Sean and I were just talking about, I need a haircut. Sean, you've been out in the heat this week.
Oh, man.
How has your week been?
Oh, dude. So on Sundays and Mondays are my days off. And on Monday, I use my day off to get spinal injections in my lower back. That was fun. And then, yippee! Yeah. And then went to work the next day. So they're like, oh, don't be driving for 24 hours after anesthesia. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely doing that because I'm going to work. So
sorry, bro.
Yeah. So I've been doing that. There were other things that I can't talk about that were very exciting, positive, but it was a lot of heavy lifting, helping neighbors, basically. And then, yeah, it's been hot, dude. Like, I have been sweating it out. I got me like a mini sombrero. I mean, I guess it's not like Speedy Gonzalez size, but it's like I don't know.
Trying to get yourself as much shade as you can.
Yeah, I guess it's more of a boonie, like a boonie cap type deal. So
yeah,
do my best.
Well, I remember when I used to work at a horse ranch, I went into Cavender's and I just got the biggest straw hat I could find because it was like I need all the shade I can get. And this thing had, I want to say 12-inch brim on it. It was massive. But boy, when it's hot outside, it feels nice. Yeah, it was made out of that grass stuff. I don't know. You know, some cowboy hats are made out of like that green grass. Yeah. And whatever that is, I love it. But it is fragile, and horses love to eat it. And so it bit the dust one day because I was bending over fixing a fence because just so you know, guys, cowboys, what they actually do is they fix fences. All right, that's what the job description is. And I was bending over, not paying attention. A horse comes up behind me and just steals my hat. And by the time I get back, there's a huge chunk missing. So it's like RIP hat. But yeah, it's hot. It's hot, but it's good. It's good. Had a great week myself. Ended up spending a ton of time in the emergency room with my brother. He was just in a ton of pain, and he's going to get some work done on his back here soon. But ended up taking him to the emergency room for back pain because the VA won't take care of him. So he has to go to a private emergency room. We were there for like 7 hours.
Golly.
Like, who do I talk to? Who do I have to kill to get some care here?
You got to do that John Q thing where he just pulls a gun and give my son health care or I'll shoot people.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. It's bad. But good week. I feel like it was accomplishment, you know, despite how dire the situation may have been at times. But it was a good thing. Good things we got done, and looking forward to this week. You know, got some things planned. But the name of the show, PTSD and inflation. You know, a little while ago, I did a solo show 2 weeks ago. And some people were wondering about what was going on there. And Sean, you shared a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wanted to kind of use this episode. I was thinking about doing it last week. I don't remember what popped up that made me think that we had a better thing to do on the show. But I did want to eventually talk about what was going on. So speaking of the VA, I am once again going through the process of fighting the VA over my disability rating. So a lot of what that involves is trying to get them to acknowledge back problems as being service related. Largely what they've told me over the last, oh boy, how long has it been? Well, it's been over 10 years. Largely what they've told me is like, man, you're really messed up, but it's not service related. So it's like stuff like that, like my knees. Mm-hmm. I distinctly went to sick call for knees like they gave me like a knee brace and everything, and like there was a whole thing to it, and there's no documentation anymore. And I know for a fact there has to be, because every sick call is documented. So I don't know what to say to that. But
Other than you're a bunch of liars.
yeah, and all liars go to hell. So keep that in mind. VA. So anyways, they're yeah, so I'm like fighting that, and in a weird way, I'm not going to get into what exactly my percentages are, but when I got what you can do is get like a third party company, and you can pay them and they'll fight on your behalf. So it's kind of like getting a lawyer, but a lot of these companies, they'll have like a whole team of doctors and I don't know, psychologists or whatever is on their side, and they'll essentially fight your case for you. And so I've been going through that process, and that process is depressing, dude. Because when I showed up that first time, they were like, well, we're not giving you anything for your back or your knees or whatever, but we're going to give you PTSD and like a sinus thing. So like things I didn't even go in for, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to tell you no. As a friend of ours has advocated for plundering the Egyptians on our, as America runs out the clock, we take what you can, give nothing back, So that's what we're going for. But yeah, so like the PTSD thing, it was weird because like as I was fighting that, or like right before I was about to fight that, I had gone to my doctor, my primary care physician, for brain fog is what we were calling it at the time. It was verbiage my wife was using. She's like, "You're loopy, dude. Like you're not doing well." I struggle with names for whatever. Like I'm like awful with names, and it's not just like a quirky like, oh, I'm bad with names. I used to not be bad with names, but now I'm just like, who is this guy? Like this is like a person I've known intimately for years, and I'm like, what is his name? Like, the guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's abnormal. Like I'm bad with names, but like if I forgot your name, like right. I would know something was wrong.
Right. And so I was loopy, and I just wasn't right. And so go to my doctor, and he's like, well, I think I've mentioned this before. My primary care physician is one of Ron Paul's sons. Right. So yeah. So like he's super, I'm not just going to throw you on pills or whatever. Like I'm going to try to find what's going on first. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. He's good about that stuff. Like I really do appreciate that he does that. So he sends me to like these guys to get all these tests and CT scans and all this stuff, and they're like, dude, you're fine. Well, physically you're fine is what they were saying. Yeah. Like you don't have like a tumor that's changing your personality or something like that. Yeah, exactly. So we went through all that, and I eventually went to this one guy that's like, I think a psychiatrist, but he was I want to say like a major in the Army. And so I'm doing all these tests, whatever, writing type stuff, answering questions, all that kind of stuff. And he comes back, and this is the first time anyone had ever said this. He's like, you have PTSD. And I'm like, what, dude? Like, no, I told you, I'm foggy. Like, that's not, he's like, no, dude, this is classic PTSD behavior. And I'm like, well, okay, what do we do? And so like we moved from there. And
so why was it that you didn't think it was PTSD, right? Like, so yeah. Americans, we have the idea of PTSD as like John Rambo, skitzing out and running off into the mountains with an M16, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was going through your head when he came back with that?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I think at the time I was I was very much like, yeah, some of the comments we get. So like,
We'll get to those in a second.
yeah, but anyway, that's what was happening 2 weeks ago. Was I was going through this whole thing, and I do want to circle back to that point. But at the time, I guess you always hear like, oh, it's PTSD. It's obviously post traumatic stress disorder. So like something traumatic happened, and so I always concentrate on that. Like, like, well, nothing happened, and then I changed right away. Right, like it wasn't like this is the first day of the rest of my life kind of moment. And but the more that I thought about it, I think there's a kind of silly joke that I've heard, I think, a number of places where, like, when you talk about like jumping off a building or like your parachute doesn't deploy, the joke is like, it's not the fall but the sudden stop that kills you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so, and that's kind of, I think, with my case, what happened mentally was, you're going from basically right after high school. I think I had like a year and a half. So I did high school. I did a little bit of college, ran out of money as young boys
one does
want to do. Yeah. And
that's my story too.
And so I joined the Army. I always kind of had this idea that I was going to be in the military. I don't know why I always thought that, but it was just everything lined up, and Obama was president, so the economy was garbage, and it was just, all right, well, I guess I'm going to join the Army. And yeah, I get like, it ramps up real quick. Like I remember standing there at not even basic training, but like reception for basic training. So you're like kind of standing in form. They don't tell you. I don't know why they do it this way. I guess just to mess with you mentally, but like they don't tell you to get in formation. They tell you to be somewhere. Like they don't show you how a formation works. They're just like, everyone shows up in a gaggle, and then they're like, why aren't you in formation? We're just like, I don't even know what a formation is. Like, so, I'm like standing there one time, and it's like 4 a.m, right? Like we got, like, I think my head hit pillow at like midnight, and then it's like, all right, I'm out here at 4 a.m. I remember just standing there and being like, dude, like, I am not going to make this. Like this, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. But at the same time, I looked around, and this was a very important moment in my life. I looked around and I was like, okay, like 95% of these people are going to make it. And I know I'm not the bottom 5%. Like, look at these fat bodies.
Look right, look left, and you're like, I'm better than that. I'm going to be okay.
I can I can't outrun the bear, but I can outrun, 5 of these guys. And so that was kind of like that. I was like, okay, I can get through this, right? Like, but yeah, it ramps up so quick. And then I'm in Germany, and I had never left the country before that. And so like, that was crazy. And then, all right, well, now you're going to Afghanistan. And I'm like, well, okay, I kind of saw this coming, right? Like, like it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to join the Army and then hang out in Germany the whole time. Like, U.S. government's going to get their money's worth.
For sure. They always do.
Yeah. Like they say it costs like some hundreds of thousands per soldier just to train an individual soldier. And so anyways, go to Afghanistan, crazy stuff happened there. I was by a couple explosions, and at one point I almost like went off the side of a mountain. Like it was just like there was a couple crazy things. Like I spent a lot of time behind a turret, and I'm like having to ask like, hey, can I shoot this guy? No, don't shoot this guy. Like we don't want an international incident. And so I'm like basically like, like I'm pointing an M2 or a 240 Bravo, which are huge guns. If you guys don't know that, like, an M2 is a 50 cal. Like it's the big 50 cal that we've had since World War II.
Time immemorial.
Yeah, it's just
been
like,
around forever.
Yeah. Doesn't do well in the sand, by the way.
Well,
So
it
keep
was
that
it
in
was
mind.
developed to be
Yeah,
in
it was
Northern
not
Europe. So
right. Yeah. And then the 240 is a 7.62 belt fed. So like you're thinking like an AK, like a very powerful AK rounds. Belt
it's
fed.
essentially a deer cartridge. I mean, it's designed to take down big game.
Yeah, it's a big one. Um,
Well,
it's one of
moderate
those.
sized game. Yeah.
Yeah, the M2 for sure is like it'll suck your butthole out through your mouth if you
Yeah.
at the right
It's
angle.
like
Like it'll.
if you want to take out heavy vehicles, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's
Oh yeah.
designed to take down airplanes and stuff. I mean, it's a
But
heavy bullet.
they'd be like, hey, this truck is getting too close, so point the M2 at it. Like, damn, dude, like they want me to shoot this guy. Like they wanted you to shoot the engine block first. Like that was your warning shot.
Mm-hmm.
Just shoot it through the engine block as a warning. Like, goodness, man. Like, so it's just a crazy world to be in. Even if like you don't get hit or you don't shoot somebody, like it's just you're constantly just kind of like
On edge.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like it's more, and I've heard other people describe this. Like they had psychologists or whatever it was in Vietnam with guys, and they found that they were all like really on edge until things were like bullets were finally flying. Like they were just sitting there like, oh, hurry up and shoot. And then once that happened, they would like get in the zone and they would chill. But then like once it was over, it was like you're on edge again. Like, so there's that kind of like up and down kind of thing. Like the story that I'll tell, we had a what were those called? We had MATVs, which are like just awesome vehicles, man. Like they're basically made to be gun trucks. Like that's what they are. And they go real fast and they're just cool. They look cool, man. They got this like scoop hood kind of thing. It looks like a first gen Camaro. Like they're just cool vehicles, dude.
Definitely a step up from the
Humvee.
Humvee, yeah. I mean, I knew a guy who was in a Humvee who ran over a mine, and he was telling me about it later. He was like, "Man, they had put armor on the Humvee, which made it super slow. And by the end of it, he said, "Man, I wish they hadn't put the armor on, because then I'd just be dead. I wouldn't be having to put up with all of this, because it wrecked him. It tore him
by
up."
the time I was in, I was in Afghanistan in 2011 and the early part of 2012, and the MATVs, they made them to where the bottom was like V-shaped, so that
it would
out, kind of deflect. Yeah, like they started to use their mind a little bit when designing these vehicles. Like they put some thought into it, because the Afghans, they would do crazy stuff. Like they had this they would put like copper in a tube, and it would like they would make it like concave in, and so like when the explosion hit the tube, it would like basically create this like molten bullet kind of thing. I want to say it was copper that they would say. Like they're good recyclers in the third world, if you didn't know that.
Yeah.
So like they would just do crazy stuff like that. So like the vehicles were built to take that kind of stuff by the time I was in. But you get really ramped up, and then it's like, all right, you're back in Germany. Just, you can relax now, but you can't relax because now you're just like I remember getting off a bus, right? So you're holding on to your rifle. Like that is your rifle until you're back, like ready to walk into the barracks. Like, so, I've got it like slung. And we get to the armory, and Sergeant King was the guy. He's like, all right, I'll take your rifle. And I'm like, I don't like like I slept with this thing for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was my lifeline. Like, well, you can't just take it. But it was like, no, I got it from here. You're good. And I'm like, are you sure you don't need me like clean it and you check it? Like, you know what I mean? It was like I really didn't want to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just kind of the mentality, I guess. So that's kind of what I was going through, that kind of thinking again, because as I was saying, like I'm working with this third party company and they do these pre-interviews and they're very much like on your side. So they want you to get your money. So they really push
Which
you.
is a strange feeling.
Yeah, like they really push you. So they'll be like you don't have a lot of friends, do you? I'm like, I think I got some friends. Like, you don't really hold on to your friends much, do you? Like everyone you've ever loved has left you, right? I'm like, holy cow, dude! Like, it's not that crazy, but that's
Yeah.
kind of an example of.
Yeah. Do you know that your mom hates you?
Yeah.
Right? Do you know that you're a disappointment to your father?
Yeah. They push it, dude. Like, they'll be like, do you have trouble at your job? And I'm like, I guess everyone has trouble. Like, no, you're pretty bad at your job, right? Like, dang, dude, like, let me have pride in something. Like, so I mean, that's kind of what's going on. Is they, they'll really like crack you open like an egg and just like sift through what's in there. And so like that whole process, the couple times I've been through it has just been overwhelming at times. And so really it was like maybe a couple hours before recording 2 weeks ago, I was just like, dude, I can't do it. Like I just need to go in a corner and crawl up and hide. And so that's kind of what ended up happening. And so I mean that's kind of the situation there. Like I did have it was I laugh at this. When Fellow first came out, and I had a lot of people reading Fellow, and they would be like, "Hey, is Frank Wagner actually based on someone? Like, did you actually like lose a friend?" And I was like, "No, well, it's based on 2 people I knew, but nobody died. Like, it wasn't like that." Which I took as a compliment because they're like, "Oh, dude, this felt so real." Like, I was like, no, I didn't actually like have someone die in my arms or something like that. But yeah, it's just it's just weird. Like I said, like they try to really like get to the bottom of it, like because the whole thing with the rating, like your rating is supposed to be a matter of affecting your day-to-day life or like your work life and stuff. And I think that there is, as far as like, so it's post-traumatic, right? Like that's the whole thing. It's like when we talk about, I always thought this is funny, like as a kid, even to this day, I guess, when, people will say like, oh, that woman's all upset because she's on her period. It's like, well, no, like PMS is supposed to be pre-menstrual. It's right before the time of the month, right? Like that's why we call it that. And so like post-traumatic stress disorder is like sometime after the thing is when you're getting the disorder. And it's generally got a delayed fuse to some extent, because you can rationalize, you can compartmentalize. I mean, that's kind of what I did for a lot of years. And you make jokes, and that's kind of the dark humor thing that you always hear about veterans, is like you laugh to keep from crying, that kind of thing. And it was funny, like reading. I finally found a Viking history book that I like. It's called like Northmen, and so I've been listening to that. It's on Audible, and getting into like ancestry stuff. Like I told you, I just like found like a million different connections of different like Viking kings and famous guys and all this. And it was, I'm reading about that and I'm just like, man, it kind of like, it makes sense reading a lot of what they were doing, like kind of, I guess the way that they thought as Norse pagans about like a berserker. A berserker was like an actual like kind of subcult, I guess, within Norse paganism, where it was a cult of Odin, where they were just like, they wouldn't wear armor or whatever. Like they were trying to die in battle so they can get to Valhalla.
Right.
And so it was kind of like, man, dude, that actually explains a lot of kind of the way that the army kind of forces you to think, because they train you to get back home safely, not to be able to process everything well
once you're home.
Like we're gonna make you crazy so that you physically return home alive. Like mentally you're gonna be fried, but we want you and the guy next to you coming home intact. And they kind of sacrifice the mental aspect. There really is no way to do both. You don't just turn it off. Like that's
right.
Yeah. But yeah, like just like reading about like the way that men used to do battle. Like I remember talking with a veteran guy when I was at California Baptist University, and I want to say he was in Iraq. He lost like a hand, like he just had like a nub from here on, and I want to say he had some other parts of his body that had like some shrapnel type deals going on. But he was in the pastoral ministry program with me, and like talking with him, like he said that when he would read things like David's Psalms, that he felt that David was trying to express that war was not something natural. Like it wasn't something that men were made to go through. And at first I was kind of like, okay, that makes sense. Like, like there has to be some amount of sin involved for you to be going to war, either you're sinning in, going to war. Like, I just feel like taking over the British Isles today with my boat and my axe. Like that's sinful. Shouldn't do that. Shouldn't murder people.
It's covetousness. Right?
Yeah. Or it could be the other people are wicked people and they need to die according to God's law. So I'm going to get my boat and my axe and I'm going to go kill those people that need to die. I mean, like, so there's some amount of sin happening that leads to, that leads to war happening. So I got it from that perspective. But then at the same time, I was just like, the more I thought about it, I was just like, I don't know. I mean, like, because David says that, the Lord made his hands for war. Like, that's something God did with him, or trained his hands for wars. I forget the exact verbiage, but like there's something in the heart of man that kind of like yearns for that. And once you get a taste of it, you can't like, it gets under your skin. Like you just kind of want to live. Like I was saying, like the people that, they're sitting around, they're waiting to get shot. They're angry because, come on, hurry up and shoot at us already. And then, they finally do. It's like, oh, finally I can shoot back because now I know what direction they're shooting from. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of just like waiting for it. The extreme case, like I said, like with guys like Vikings, where they're just like, oh, I just really need to go die in battle today. It's very like Klingon for the Star Trek fans, right? Where they're like, today's a good day to die. Like, okay. So yeah, I don't know what more to say about that without going into the women in the military thing. To transition into that. Wasn't sure.
Well, before we get into that, we actually have a word from our sponsors, which I have not
totally forgot.
haven't done yet. So we'll we'll hit that real quick. But for those of you who are not aware, we are sponsored by Deus Volt lapel pins. And Deus Volt lapel pins here. Let me get the full background going, get everything set up here. But Deus Volt lapel pins has been a sponsor of our show for a while now, and he's been making really cool stuff. We really appreciate Deus Volt lapel pins for sponsoring the show, and he's always coming out with new releases. We've got new states being released all the time. We've even got the United States 51st state right here, Canada. So, people were talking about in the group chat, they've got to collect all the states. They're going to make a pin board and get all the states put together and make a map. So that's cool. Texas, I think, is woefully small if it's going to be.
I was going to say, I don't think that they're
not to scale.
Yeah.
What they are is they're to scale. They're all about the same size pin, right? But if that's what you want to do, guys, if you want to make a pin board with all the different states, we have got that for you. Also, all of the old historical flags, the church calendar, White Boy Summer, the Christ is King pin. But we had a new release this week that I wanted to talk about for a little bit. It is already sold out, but it is the Church War Cross pin. And there's some history to this too. This thing is gorgeous, but is a reproduction of the historical Church War Cross given to American soldiers by the Episcopal Church during the European Wars of Self-Destruction. And this thing is just gorgeous. But from the numismatist, the Church War Cross, the design should be the ancient Crusaders' cross, which is composed of 5 crosses symbolizing the 5 wounds of Christ. It should have engraved upon it, "Christ died for thee," a quotation from the liturgy of the Book of Common Prayer. And there you can see the original right there. It was worn as a pendant, and you can wear this as a lapel pin. And if you are so inclined, he even has ways that you can wear this as a pendant or as a keychain fob. There are ways that you can mount this, but this thing is just gorgeous. Really, really love it. But it is out of stock. It's sold out immediately. So if you want that, click this, join the priority wait list, put in your email, your phone number, and get on that, because it will not stay there forever. This one here, this is from when Antifa was protesting at the Ogden Church.
Yeah.
And Tom Bombadil came out, and he's kind of listening to the protester. Can't hear you. Hello? What?
He was in this year's White Boy Summer video, him doing that with the little...
Yep. And eventually I want to get him on the podcast to talk about that whole situation.
The lapel pin has a lapel pin.
That's right. So, it's lapel pin inception.
Yeah.
But fantastic. Really, really, really cool stuff. Thank you, Deus Volt lapel pins, for sponsoring the show. Guys, go over to Deus Volt lapel pins. Use the code FFGDV26 at checkout for 10% off your order, or click the link in the description below. You will have that discount populated in your cart automatically if you follow that link. Do that and get that discount to show them that you heard about them on our show. Really appreciate Deus Volt lapel pins for sponsoring our show. And with that, let's get into the comments.
Oh, real quick.
Go ahead.
So this one here, I got the Heritage American. People know when I go to events, and I'm wearing a pin, and it's like Young Republicans or True Texas Project, whatever, right? I go there, I'm wearing my pin. People know these pins by name. Like, our guys in these circles, like, everyone has a Deus Volt lapel pin, any event you go to. Like, to the point where, like I said, like, they'll see this and be like, "Oh, I see you got the Heritage American." Who just knows the names of all the pins like this? Like, but they're extremely popular in our circles right now. So I don't know that this is going to be a thing that lasts for decades, but as of right now, it is the hot thing to do. So you got to get yourself at least one so that you can be it's like an open secret. Like it's like, hey, I'm a secret cool guy because you can see what I got going on right here.
Yeah, and when my grandfather died, there was not much that I inherited from him. He didn't have any money. He didn't have any assets. He was living in a house that my dad owned just down the street from us, and we were taking care of him in his old age. But one of the things that I did inherit from my grandfather that I treasure very dearly were a few lapel pins and a few cufflinks. And for those of you who want to have a generational perspective, uh, you know, uh, lapel pins are something that you can pass down to your kids. These are non-perishable goods. They aren't going to die. They aren't going to be ruined. I mean, especially these ones I've talked about before. That there was a friend of ours who this exact pin, actually, his version of it, which is the Southern states with the rebel flag in the background. He accidentally left it on his shirt and put it through the wash, and came out the other side just fine. Didn't come off in the wash, didn't get ruined. And these things are pretty durable. These things are excellent. So if you want to have something that you can hand down to your kids, have a little bit of a story, have a little bit of sentimentality to them, highly recommend. Highly recommend. But let's with that said, let's get into the comments. Let's see. Kirkion says, hello, Kirk. Good to see you, man. Check for Tunnels says, cowboys have gunfights out in the street and barroom brawls where people get thrown through giant windows. I've seen the documentaries. Yeah. Fact check, true for sure.
Yeah.
I can tell you, when I was working at a horse ranch, when I was a cowboy, I was a teenager, so I wasn't even allowed into bars. And but being a cowboy is mostly fixing fences. That's mostly what it is. And then you get to ride around a little bit at the end of the day, put some exercise on some horses. It was a good time. I really did enjoy it. But Chris Hooken says, evening, Chris. Good to see you. And check for Tunnels. I can't turn it off.
Yeah. That's obviously a Rambo quote.
Yeah. And I think that's what most people think of when they think of PTSD, because that's really, I think, where most Americans were introduced to the concept, right? It was not something highly discussed. That was the first time where it really had a mass audience. So that's where people go.
Can I say with that? I know I'm interrupting comments to say this, but historically, PTSD was not the term that was used. I believe the oldest term we have came roughly after the war between the states, and they called it soldier's heart. It was this idea. Well, I mean, it's basically what we describe now, but it was this guy went and was a soldier, and he came back, and he ain't the same anymore. There's something wrong with his heart. I like that term better. I think it more describes what's going on. Like, it's just the way that you feel when you get back. Like, it's not necessarily like this one thing, like a specific traumatic event happened, and that's why I think differently now or whatever. But I will say, like, with Rambo, I think that the important thing with that is noting what it's like coming home, because that's what sets him off. Is he comes home, he's just looking for a little respect. I don't understand why the sheriff or whoever it is telling him to get out of town. I guess he thinks he's going to be trouble, but he's like, John Rambo's just looking for a friend of his. That's how the movie starts. Like, he's got like a picture of him. He's trying to find a friend of his. I guess his friend had died or something like that. But he just wanted to meet up with old war buddies, and comes home and he's disrespected, and he's like, all right, I got something for that, and just goes off. And so I think that is part of it. I know we're going to talk about some of that specifically later, so I'll save that. But there is an aspect of PTSD that's really just like what it's like to come home. Like I said, it's not the fall, but the sudden stop that gets you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've got something I want to talk about in that vein too when we get back into it. Check for Tunnel says Sean is describing an EFP shaped charge. Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, and shaped charges are actually time-honored tradition. I mean, the first, we're familiar with the phrase "hoisted by his own petard." A petard was a shaped charge that was designed. Interestingly, it was designed originally to knock down a city gate so your guys could storm whatever fortifications. They'd put this big old bowl. It was literally like a pot, like what you'd cook in, a colander, filled with explosives in a shaped direction. You would run up and mount it to the front of the gate and set the fuse and run off and wait for it to blow up. So being hoisted by your own petard would be, when that shaped charge went off prematurely and you got chucked way up into the air. It's kind of a funny, but in a dark kind of way, a funny thing to happen, for a guy to get blown up into the air by his own bomb. Yeah.
Well, that was the one guy that died at Fort Sumter kind of had that sit like he blew himself up.
Trying to light a cannon. Yeah. Yeah. And, many such cases. But Check for Tunnel says, to everything there is a season.
I was saying that in reference to whether or not it's natural for man to experience war. So he's saying well, there's a season for it. So, I mean, it's just something to that.
Mm-hmm. And you were talking about that. It reminded me of a book that has been very influential on my life, which is called Wild at Heart, which is it's not a perfect book. There are some problems with it. But one of the things that he points out is that when God made Adam and put him into the garden is a battlefield. I mean, you've set the stage. You've got the battlefield and you've got the enemy right inside the gate. Satan is in the garden. And he's got his responsibilities, he's got his duties, and he loses. He loses the battle through his own neglect and irresponsibility. So the idea that, war is unnatural, I can understand where he's coming from. I mean, death is unnatural. That's very true. Everybody knows that instinctively deep down that death is not natural. But the idea that war is unnatural, I would disagree with that. I mean, we were made for war. We were placed in a battlefield right when we were created.
Well, I guess the question is without the fall, right? Because people would say tigers and lions and stuff were vegetarians before the fall, right? Because there was no death. So fish weren't eating each other, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what would war have looked like without the fall? I guess that's really the question that I don't have an answer for. I mean, I would say that war necessarily has to exist now that sin exists, that war can be righteous post fall, but I don't know what war would have looked like pre-fall. What would be the occasion for it? You don't just do it because it's good entertainment, right? This isn't like a sports league or something where it's we have to have a season, we have to see who the best warrior is. It wouldn't exist without the fall. So I don't know.
Yeah, it does raise some questions. But Check for Tunnel says we need to get that QT coffee sponsor. QT, if you want to sponsor this show, I'm sure you won't, but hit me up. Links in the description. Shoot me an email.
Big QT fan.
Hey, if you want to go to a gas station that's clean and isn't run by Indians, list is vanishingly short.
And they won't give you the third degree because you got to drop a deuce, and that's the only reason that you even stop at the gas station to begin with. Go to QT.
Yeah. Kevin Bratton says, salute. Kevin, good to see you, man. and drops an emoji that doesn't come through, but I'm sure that's probably a salute emoji.
It's a salute. Yeah.
All right.
How come I can see that? What is wrong with your emoji?
Not sure, but that is a consistent thing that we've been seeing. But anyhow, get back into the show. You wanted to touch on women in the military, and I didn't have a ton of links for that. Did you have some links you wanted to share?
I had one thing. I'm just going to read from it because it is like a summation, and it kind of leads into what I was going to say. So, everyone remembers like the big controversy going on with West Virginia guy. What is it? The guy
Benjamin Glazer.
Yeah, the guy who did that.
Rather,
that goofy statement that we tore apart, where he officially did not use AI, so he just lied. Yeah, West Virginia Pitt is his Twitter handle. He kicked the hornet's nest to say when he put a picture of his daughter out in her, what I imagine is like her basic training photo. Like when you're in basic training, you take that first photo. And it was her in her Marine uniform, right? And I don't remember exactly why he felt the need to post that, but he did. He likes using probably inappropriate things to get likes and get discussion going. And he did that. And he got thrown through the ringer on that one. A lot of people were just like, it's sin for your daughter to be in the military. I had said something to the effect of, your daughter needs to hurry up and get married because she needs a man to protect her the way that you clearly have not.
You clearly are not. Yeah. This is a screenshot of that post where he just says, "Congrats, United States Marine." It's a picture of his tiny little daughter in her uniform holding a rifle. And this post has been deleted since. But Joel Webben retweeted, says, "Be encouraged, brothers. The men who attack you are cowards who send their own daughters to war." And then Grant Van Brimmer says, "So when are you signing up to serve, Joel?" Like, arg. Well, and I had some thoughts on that, but go ahead and finish what you were saying.
No, because I think that's important, what you were saying there. I agree with that statement.
This is what I said. Men can't have opinions on abortion because they don't have a uterus. You can't say women shouldn't be in the military unless you served. Same argument. Actually, we can speak the truth from Scripture without having to be a female pretend soldier. Which, that obviously going to rustle some feathers saying that she's a pretend soldier. But, I mean, you really think that this 120-pound 5'2" woman is going to go and fight your war for you? I mean, is that really who you're sending off to battle?
Yeah, so I think it is important to say that, because Grant, I mean, I saw in his, I didn't know this until I just read it right now, but in his profile, he's got, says like combat vet ×2. I don't know what the nature of that is, what branch, whatever. Obviously, that's the place he's coming from, right? And so that's what he's got going on. But here's this is data. This is a summary of some Department of Defense data that I want people to keep in mind. The Pentagon estimates that only 23% of Americans between the ages of 17 and 24 are eligible to serve in the military without a waiver, according to Department of Defense data.
Less than a quarter.
Yeah. So 77% of Americans between 17 and 24 are not eligible to serve in the military. So
and that's not including retired people, like old people. That's the people who should be.
No, this is only 17 through 24. Of that group, which is who you're going after, you're not really looking for older people. I want to say 35 35 used to be. I want to say when I was in, it was like 35 was the cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that if I was to try to join for the first time, I would currently be 2 years too old. But I'm going to get to that. So yeah, 77% of the cream of the crop are not even eligible if they wanted to, right? This is before we factor in who actually wants to. The figure's down from 29% in recent years. So it went from 29 to 23 in another 6% in recent years. The main reasons for disqualification are poor scores on the military's entrance exam, which...
So you're too dumb.
Pause real quick. You have to be a grade A retard to not pass that, dude. Like, I remember, oh my goodness. When I walked into my recruiter's office, I walk in, see the guy at the desk. I think he's with somebody, whatever. And, he asked me some NCO, and he's like, how can we help you? I said, I'm here to join the Army. And he kind of does he's like, I told you someone was going to come in today. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just like, I'm ready. Let's go.
It made his day.
And, I sit down with him, and he's like, okay, the first thing we got to do the ASVAB and all this. Like, he asked me a couple of questions, like, do you have felonies? Like, really obvious stuff. Mm-hmm. Did you graduate high school? Because at the time, that was the requirement. I don't know if it's still. I know at one point in early Operation Iraqi Freedom that they had waived that you needed a high school diploma, because I was in with some guys who joined during that time. They didn't have high school diplomas. But when I joined, you had to have a high school diploma. And so I sit down with the recruiter, and he's like, I want you to solve this problem for me. Because I'm like that guy that's like, oh man, I need to study for the ASVAB. I need to do, I need to make sure I do really good. And he's like, well, do this problem for me. And it was something like, it was like a y equals mx plus b type equation. So it was an algebraic equation, but it was something like, he didn't ask me to graph it, which I also could have done, but it was like, what's an example of one? 7 plus 3x equals 10, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Where you would obviously say, okay, well, x equals 1 in that scenario. But it was something like that, where
it was not complicated, but with figures,
multi steps, right? Mm-hmm. So he's like, he like writes it down. He's like, okay, solve this. And I look at it, x equals 1, right? Like, as he's handing me the pen or pencil, whatever. And he's like, oh, you're going to be an all-star, man. Like, let's go. And I'm like, no way, dude. Come on. No, I'm telling you, you're a superstar, man. Like, let's go. I can't wait. So ended up doing the ASVAB, and they take you on a bus, like, because there's more than one guy who's ready to go out to the next big city that does the tests, and they do a couple physical tests, like the duck walk and all that kind of stuff. And I go and do the ASVAB. I get a 92 overall, which is, from what I understand, it's like a percentile based thing. So I was like 92, 92nd percentile. The highest I've ever heard of is 99. And my brother-in-law got 99. He actually just finished 20 years in the Army. But that dude's like autism smart. He is for real. But 92 is considered very high. And then my general technical was like, which is like one aspect of the overall score, was 128, I think it was. I thought it was like 132, but I think it's actually like 128, which is also considered high. It was basically to where it was like, you can have whatever job you want. you can do this like rocket missile stuff. You can do EOD, you can do whatever, you know what I mean? Like you can do whatever the most smart technical thing we could do. The Air Force was champing at the bit. No, dude, join us, man. We've got the most cushy job, whatever. But it was like the driver on the way back was like, hey man, like, I had known this before going, that this guy that I was with on the bus had taken the ASVAB like 7 times or something like that. And he was studying and he's working on it. He was like a big, like what I thought a soldier should look like. He was just like a big body, not necessarily buff, but just like
corn fed.
But he was like a Mexican dude. So he was like the big back type. You know what I mean? Like, cause like even Mexican women got some big backs. Like,
oh yeah.
like,
I delivered sheetrock with a guy for a couple years who was, he was like 5 foot even. Short guy, and he was as white as a house, and he would carry these books, which is two sheetrock things taped together at the end. He'd carry a book of 16 foot 4 by 16, and he'd carry them one-handed, just leaned up against his side, and he'd just get it off the forklift and just walk right into the building. It was just, dude was a monster.
So by my mentality, I'm like, I want to be next to this dude in the foxhole. I don't care about how he scores on his math test. So like, that's a big old dude, man. Anyways, he had failed for like the 6th or 7th time, whatever it was. And, the bus driver was like, hey, like, don't talk about your score. He failed again. I was like, really, man?
Oh, like, man.
Right. And then, of course, like I'm sitting in the back and this dude like turns around like 5 minutes into the hour drive. What'd you get on your test? I got this. And I did this. And like, I'm going to join the Army now because I just passed my thing. And it was just like, yeah, dude, I did well. Right. Like, so I'm like, yeah, like, I don't want to be rude, but I'm like, yeah, I passed. Yeah. But anyways, you have to be a real retard not to pass. Right.
Hey, there's always the Marines.
People do it. Even that, to even be in the Marines, you got to pass this. Like, you got to get like, whoa, what was it down to? Like 30. I don't have the number with me. I want to say at the time it was something like 36. Right. So you have to be like the 36th percentile of people that, I don't know, dude. Like I said, you got to be a retard. Anyways, the main reasons for disqualification are poor scores on the military's entrance exam, obesity, obviously, and criminal records. So that's like, you're
13% of the population not reporting.
Yeah, because you're the guy who should have been a running back in the NFL, but you couldn't help yourself from,
knocking over a convenience
liquor store. Yeah, exactly. So that's what it is. You're dumb, you're fat, you're a criminal. One of those two. And that's says, of those disqualified for a single reason, being overweight is the most common factor at 11%. Followed by drug and alcohol use at 8%, and broader medical or physical health issues at 7%. So if you've got medical issues, I get it, right? But drug use, alcohol use, that kind of stuff, come on, man. The majority of ineligible young Americans, 44%, are disqualified for multiple reasons. So you're trying to join, you're trying to join the military, but you're a fat retard who once knocked over a liquor store. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. What are we doing here? I remember sitting there with the recruiter. I'm going through whatever stuff. And, we kind of have to pause what I'm doing because a new guy comes in. And I could tell he looked a little off. Like, he kind of had a slight sling blade type deal going on. And he was like with his uncle or whatever. And his uncle was kind of like speaking for him. Oh, yeah, this guy's here to join the Army. And the recruiter was literally like, are you crazy? you look a little crazy. Like he was saying stuff like he's like, oh. He's like, you ever been diagnosed with mental stuff? And he was like, well, this one time they said like they had to do whatever, and he's like, come on, man, get out of here, because it's just crazy people that try to join. When I was I was at a church in Southern California, and there was this guy there that we just could not get going in life. He was kind of an older guy. I think he was like, well, he was like probably mid-30s. I say older guy, but he was like mid-30s, so he should have been working. And we were like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing with your life? Well, I was thinking about being like special forces in the Army. And I'm just like, why don't we go down to a recruiter and talk about that? Because I don't want you to keep that in the back of your mind. Like that's your fallback plan, is to be an elite soldier in the United States military. Like get that. Let's clear that out real quick. Because people do that, dude, like crazy people.
Mm-hmm.
So some people have multiple reasons. In response to the shrinking eligible pool, the U.S. Army recently raised its maximum enlistment age from 35 to 42. This is like last days of the Confederacy numbers, where they're just like, bro, just show up, guys. We just need bodies. Like they could be in any condition. We don't care. Like we just need people. Like, we're suffering.
Yeah, like fall of Berlin type things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. With the Air Force and Space Force now accepting recruits up to the same age, the Navy has also raised its limit to 41. So that's old, dude. That's old to be day one military. Basic training at 40, dude. Come on. I can't even. So anyways, I bring that up to say that these some funny comments. You guys are great. When we talk about women in the military, I would start by saying I think the vast majority of us, maybe not Ben Glasser, but I think the most of us would say that it is not ideal for women to be in the military. I think that we can say it. Right? Like obviously that's something you believe. It is something I believe. I don't think guys like Ben Glazer believe that. But I think that's kind of far out there, right? Like I think that most of us on the right wing church side would say it is not ideal in any way for women to be in the military. However, the fact that we have women in the military is an indictment on the men of the nation who have women in the military. What I mean by that, there's a two-layer indictment. This is we're getting into the deep trenches of my political theory on this. The fact that women are in is an indictment that not enough men are joining. The Army or whatever branch, they're not just looking to hire as many people as possible. Like they do have quotas. Like they do, there is a cutoff with how many people. In fact, they will, because of the nature of rank, they have to keep getting new people in. And if they're trying to downsize, they don't just stop bringing in new people. They start moving out old people, which is what happened. Like right as I was getting out, they were like getting rid of a lot of people, a lot of experienced soldiers from like OIF, OEF, just multiple deployments gone because they were trying to downsize, but they had to keep bringing in new people because you can't just have an army with no privates in it, for instance. So that's what was going on with that. But yeah, the fact that a country has to pull from the women, that's an indictment on the men of the nation. The fact that the men of the nation don't want to join the military can be an indictment on the country itself. So what I mean by that is a lot of guys don't want to join the military, not because they're fat, retarded, whatever, but because they don't want to die for Israel, right? Like there's actually like a
Mm-hmm.
legit reason that men in America are like, I just can't get down with whatever war is currently going on. Now, I personally was at the time when I was against Iraq. I thought it was a bad use of military personnel and resources. But I was very for Afghanistan because, you know, I was in 7th grade when 9/11 happened. And I remember just kind of having that feeling. It felt, and it came true. Like it was like, dude, a bunch of us are going to be in this war. Even in 7th grade, I remember thinking that. And a bunch of us were, like a bunch of the people that I was in 7th grade with, like later on, it was like, oh yeah, that dude was in the army. That's quite like, you know, we kind of met up later. Um, and, but yeah, it's kind of a twofold thing, and it doesn't necessarily always overlap perfectly and all that. But that's my two things with when it comes to the ideal situation. Ideally, the men of the nation are going to be ready and willing, and that takes both personal discipline and not being retarded. And I guess that's not really personal discipline, but that's just genetics, I guess, at that point. But also that the country has the backing of the people, that it has earned the backing of the people for whatever the war effort is. Like, I don't personally believe that America should have a standing army. That's just me. It's what the founding fathers believed. I think that having a standing, well, we have to have a standing army because we have a constant stream of new wars coming on, which is one of the reasons that a lot of men don't want to join the military. But yeah, like I don't want to say like, oh, you're in sin because you didn't join the military. Obviously, that'd be ridiculous. But it is an indictment on the country that people don't want to join, and it's an indictment on, in an ideal world where the country's not doing stupid wars, it would be an indictment on the men themselves that the women are necessary to keep the war effort going. So all that to say, it's not ideal to have women in the military. Even in the military myself, like I was in the 92 series, which is quartermaster. So I was not like infantry or artillery or something like that. But I will say all these, because I saw this on Twitter and I kept it to myself, but I'm going to say it now. All these like infantry guys that are, they'll see an opinion that they disagree with, and they're like, oh, that's just a Pogue opinion, right? Which is person other than grunt is what POG stands for. Oh, that's just Pogue. You're just Pogue on the fob with your opinion, whatever. Like, it's not real. Me being quartermaster, I was the guy in the turret for 12 hours at a time, driving your supplies so that you could sit in your little outpost and do nothing, not going outside the wire, just me driving a convoy to where you, the infantry guys, are, so that you could sit there and turn food into shit. That was your greatest contribution to the war effort. Thanks. And turn cigarettes into smoke. Great. You guys really, good job, infantry guys. I was the guy out there bringing you your stupid mail or whatever, your plastic forks, so you could sit there and eat and get fat. So don't come at me about that crap. But so stupid. Where was I going with this? Oh,
we were.
Yeah. But so quartermaster is one of the few areas in the military where there actually are women. Like, women aren't actually in combat roles. I know they've opened it up, but like, I don't think there's been any women to actually like make it through the training to actually get to where they need to get. Like, I've
it's been vanishingly few for sure.
Yeah. But I know that there is something to be said about male camaraderie with no women, making it complicated, right? There's something to be said for that. Even I would hope like Ben Glazer would even see that, or Grant Bremer, Von Bremer. So I would hope that even they would say like, well, yeah, that part of it is ideal, right? But like I said, I was in the Army with a lot of women because that's kind of how it was. I had NCOs that were women. That sucked. Or like officers that were women where they're just like, hey, can we get some of the men over here to pick this thing up? Like, bro, like I thought a soldier's a soldier. I thought that was the thing, right? Like, what are we doing here, man? So that did suck. But taking the mask completely off, that's where I met my wife. My wife was in my unit. She was in the Army with me. Like I said, it's not ideal for women to be there. I'm not the one that raised her, right? So that she had to go join the Army to get by in life, whatever situation is there. We were doing stuff that we shouldn't have been doing. I'm not here to say like, oh, this is the ideal Christian life. Go to the Army and find a wife in your unit. But that is that's the way that I met my wife. We were on the same convoys. So I think that the idea
and I know a lot of guys that found their wife in the Army. I mean, my best friend, my local fishing buddy, he found his wife. I don't know if she was in his unit or the next unit over, but that's where they met. And, they live a very different life now than the one they did when they were in the military. They became more conservative. They grew up, as it were, matured in their religion and in their perspective on things. And yeah, I mean, you can look at something like that both ways. You can say, yeah, this is not ideal, and we shouldn't have done it the way that we did, but good things still came out of it. And talking about women in the military, it reminds me of, everybody wants to talk about Deborah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but Deborah was leading the armies of Israel, and the people who raised Deborah, they never actually read the passage.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read it for us. So this is in Judges 4, starting verse 4. Judges 4:4. Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was judging Israel at the time. And she would sit under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the mountains of Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. Then she sent and called for Barak, the son of Abinoam, from Kadesh in Naphtali, and said to him, has not the Lord God of Israel commanded, go and deploy troops at Mount Tabor? Take with you 10,000 men of the sons of Naphtali and the sons of Zebulun, and against you I will deploy Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude at the river Kishon, and I will deliver them into your hand. And this is the part that they always leave out. And Barak said to her, if you will go with me, then I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go. So right there, that's the indictment that you're talking about, where, these people want women to serve in the military. They won't go unless the women go too. And what was her response? She said, I will surely go with you. Nevertheless, there will be no glory for you in the journey you are taking, for the Lord will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. Then Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh, but Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men, etc., etc. And then, what happens at the end of that? Sisera fled away on foot to the tent of Jael. We all know the story of Jael. She puts a tent stake through his brain, right? He's exhausted. She gives him some milk. He falls asleep, and she just drives him right into the ground. And the people on the other side who want women to be in the military, want that to be legitimate. They're like, oh, but see, we have this example of Deborah and Jael. And first of all, Deborah and Jael are not in the army proper. Jael is a housewife. Deborah is occupying a position because no man would occupy it. It it is an indictment on the people of Israel that she is even there. And now this is not necessarily, this is my opinion, so don't take it as God's truth. But I do find it interesting when she sent and called for Barak. She says, "Has not the Lord God of Israel commanded?" So right off the bat, I mean, she is saying, you already know this. You already know that God has commanded these things. Why aren't you doing it? And if you look it up in other versions, now I've not looked at the Hebrew or the Greek to see, but it's very consistent. Has not the Lord commanded? This is something he was already supposed to have been doing, and he won't go do it. Not here I am, Lord, send me. This is, I don't want to. I don't want to. Okay, well, if you go with me, then I'll go. And this is the example that everybody wants to use of women in the military is, first of all, not women in the military. And second of all, it is an example of rank cowardice that the Bible explicitly condemns.
Yeah.
And I remember several years ago, maybe 5 years ago or so, I was talking with a friend of mine who was in the military, got out of the military, went into politics, and he's very conservative. His wife is not conservative at all. Kind of a mismatch there. But we're sitting on his back porch smoking cigars and chatting. And I said, women shouldn't be in the military. It's an indictment on the men of our country. And he says, well, yeah, I agree. And his wife just freaks out. He's like, but, it's a good thing that they're there because that is an indictment on men. And, it should embarrass them into joining up. And I was like, well, but they're not.
Yeah.
You say this theoretically, but practically that's not the outcome. That's not what's going on. Your support of this is not in line with your theoretical idea.
I will also add this, that in the military, the standards for women are considerably lower. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's not as if we just want the best of the best. And if that happens to be a woman, then that's fine.
Then we'll just take her. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like that. They've specifically lowered it so that they can, as if the military is just a jobs program or something.
No, it's an affirmative action program, and it's not even well disguised.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not ashamed of it.
Because I remember there'd be guys being like, "Oh, look at this soldier got 100 on the, or what would it be, like 300? I don't remember how the scoring was. Whatever the top score, whenever you max out your PT test." And I'd be like, "Dude, it's a woman. Like, she only had to do like 15 push-ups or something. Like, I could fall out of bed at any time of night after drinking all night and do 15 push-ups." But yeah, so the standard is different. But I will say that after all the indictment stuff, women like my wife did more, at least during my deployment, than all these big bad infantry guys that just, sat at the phone and internet tent and yelled at their wives, that's so crazy. I remember this story time. This one time we're like, we come in that night to this whatever outpost it is, and we're dropping off stuff for them, and we're like, hey, let's go hit the tent and call home or whatever. And there's this guy in there who's on the phone, and he's just like, "What do you mean you're upset every time I call you? You should be excited to hear from me." Like, what? He's like, dude, he's like having a full-on like shouting match with his wife, and I'm just like, dude, maybe hang up, like give it a minute, go burn one outside, like don't just sit here and like
have a smoke break, calm yourself, get your heart rate down.
Crazy.
That marriage is not going to survive.
So I am thankful that things worked out the way they did. I mean, there is something to be said about, for me personally, like having, for all the crazy things that happened while I was in the military. My wife is right there. I mean, sometimes she was in the same truck with me. She's driving. I'm the gunner. Again, it's not ideal. That was a crazy. I remember this one convoy, the female NCO that was there. So it was one guy and two women, and that was just them talking about whatever.
That's not a good ratio.
Yeah. Oh, the story I was going to say, like, yeah, it's not great at all. So we had like headphones, like it would be like this, right? So the, our helmets have like gaps right here so that you can have, you have your headphones on like this, and then the helmet kind of goes over it when it goes on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so we had that, and then it would plug into a thing via cord, not Bluetooth. Like it would plug into the radio system. Like there was some kind of thing like plug that, and then it's with me. And so we could talk to each other that way because there was no way for us to hear each other.
Yeah,
like,
machine's too loud.
Yeah. And so we had that, but we could also talk to every other truck. But what you had to do was push a thing to talk to the other trucks. Right? So we could talk, we could hear each other talking. But also whatever genius figured this out, you could wire your iPod into the system. And so we were just sitting there like listening to music and
Katy Perry. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. Our rollout song was, well, for me and my TC that was with it, we would listen to Party in the USA. Like that was our rollout song.
Yeah.
But anyways, you could like push the button and then you wouldn't hear the music anymore. So it wasn't like a safety issue, but you would automatically hear it. Like it wasn't like every time something would happen, we'd like pause the music. So I'm in a city and we're taking these jingle trucks full of fuel. It was just like their civilian fuel trucks. And this one guy's like, "Oh, I'm breaking down. I guess I gotta go." We're like, "No, dude, you want to steal our fuel? Like, keep moving, right?" So he's like, "Oh, I'm breaking down. I guess we got to stop in the middle of this freaking huge roundabout in the middle of a city with buildings all around us." Like it's like, come on, dude. I've seen Black Hawk Down. This is not good. And I'm sitting there in the turret, so I'm like, "Oh, hey, guys on top of buildings, what's going on?" Don't drop a grenade on me. But this guy comes up. He's like, it's a dude on a motorcycle with like another dude on the back. Like they're very like they hold hands with their friends and stuff like that. Like they're very they're cool with being touchy. It's a weird culture. Anyways, these two dudes on a motorcycle, right? And he keeps creeping up on me, but I'm trying to, I'm sitting there with the 240 and I'm just like, dude, stop. Like I'm doing my little flashlight thing or laser pointers, where I'm doing all the things. I'm trying to tell him to stop because he gets any closer. I'm like, dude, I don't want to have to fire at you. And the song that was playing at the time, because it happened to be my turn for the music, like it was my iPod, because we used to have iPods back then. It was Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. And so like that's what's in my ear. And I'm like yelling at the lieutenant in the truck with me, "Let me fire at him. This dude, he's getting too..." I mean, I didn't say dude. This gentleman is getting too close to the truck and oh my goodness.
This distinguished astronaut.
Yeah. This noble savage is riding his motorcycle too close to us. No, but and then the lieutenant's just like, "Do not fire! Do not fire! You do not have permission to fire!" Like it was like a whole like screaming match. "Let me shoot this guy!" And then of course, Freddie Mercury doing his thing in my ear. So that was an interesting moment. But that's just the kind of stuff where it's like my wife was there for those moments, right? So when I tell her, she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." So there's something to be said for that, I guess, in my own selfish way of saying like, well, now I will say on that note, and Now, my daughter is literally retarded. She has autism. So fat chance she's going to join the military. But if I were to have another daughter, I would very, very much not want her to join the military. And I would very much not want my 2 sons to join the military. Even though if they were, see, that's what's crazy though. Like, I know if they came to me one day and they're just like, Dad, I really want to join the army. I want to be like you. I'm going to say, I don't want that, but I get it. Because there's something about, like in the comments, they're talking about the Sons of Confederate Veterans. One thing that's always a trip to me is how many people in the SCV are also veterans themselves. A huge percentage. Like it is a notable percentage. And it's just there's something about that like lineage. Like we're talking about like the Heritage American thing. Like every time I see this pin, I think of my Revolutionary War, one of my Revolutionary War veteran ancestors. And I'm just like, man, he was that guy. He's the guy that this pin represents. I'm doing crazy family tree stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, this dude, this is this brave warrior, this king or whatever that led these people into battle. Or whatever. It's like there's something about that lineage. I really do believe that there is a certain percentage of the population that just they can't help
want to go to war.
Yeah, they can't help but
they are
that.
born warriors,
right?
Yeah. I mean,
so
when I look back at my lineage, I'm the first person in my family, the first male in my lineage for several hundred years that did not join the military. And my older brother did. I mean, and at the time when he was considering it, I was advising him against it for the very reasons that you gave about your sons. But ultimately, he did do it. And it's very understandable because we come from a warlike race.
Yeah.
I mean, my family on both sides, army, infantry, cavalry, the whole 9 yards, all of them, all the way back to as far as I can see. And, I loved the idea of being in the army when I was a kid. So it's completely understandable that they would want that. And it's only for political reasons that I'd be opposed to it because of the things that you talked about.
I think also, other than the political reasons, there is the quality control aspect in the military. Like for instance, like when the COVID thing happened, and I was just like, boy, if I hadn't gotten out when I did, that would have been the moment, or when they started really, I want to say I was in when they got rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I want to say I was in during that time, because I remember getting in and it was in effect. And I feel like when I got out, it had already changed. Because the joke that like this one drill sergeant would say is like, we don't ask because we already know. Like typical military humor. But it was true. Like, we actually did know. Like, it was very clear. Like, we had some dykes, bro. And I don't mean the kind that the Dutch boy puts his finger in. I mean the kind that the other female soldiers put their finger in. There was some nasty, some studs, some bull dykes. We had the whole slew.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's not a cadre of gentlemen anymore.
Yeah, but
anyhow,
I would ask my son. I would say, like, please don't do that. I did it on your behalf. You don't do it, dude. But it's hard. It's hard to watch. Like, I remember when this is an SCV thing. We're at our annual ball, and that was when I was awarded this medal right here. This is the War Service Medal. It's considered by a lot in the SCV to be the highest medal you can have. It basically just means, like, you were in the military, like, you have Confederate ancestor, but also you yourself were in the military. So that's what it is. And so it says Afghanistan on it. There's another guy that has one that says like Cold War or something like that because he was in a bunch of skirmishes in the Cold War. It wasn't exactly a 100% Cold War, according to some of the crazy stuff he did. But
yeah, kind of like our Cold War with Iran right now, which is not very cold.
But you know, like there was a guy, there was a kid. I say kid, he was probably like 18, or he was about to be 18, so I guess he was a kid. And he was talking about like wanting to join the military. And I had just this whole emotional ceremony and stuff, and they pinned this thing on my chest, and they're reading my DD 214, and you know, they're saying everywhere I was stationed at, and you know, and they're like Fort Lee, Virginia. I'm like, woo, Fort Lee, like, you know what I mean? Like it's like this whole thing, right? And then this guy's like, yeah, I'm looking to join the military, and at the time, just like I wanted to be like, stay here, stay as long as you can.
Maybe don't,
yeah. Like it was, but at the same time, it was like, dude, he just saw this, like hundreds of people applaud me in this ceremony, like this whole thing, reading off everywhere I was, and it was just like, he's not going to listen to no in that moment, right? Like he knows what he wants. He's going to go do it, man. Like that's what it is. So I fear that that's going to be one or both, or if I have other boys, then maybe one of them too. But who knows? Maybe we can get an American president that doesn't want to go to war again.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that's what we had, but anyhow. Now, I don't always do this, and but I want to read out the blurb that I wrote for this video because it'll segue into the next section where we talk about, you know, what kind of America did you come home to? And I think this is relevant for the PTSD discussion because it really has a lot to do with it. So this is the blurb, and I posted this to my Facebook and Twitter as well if y'all want to go back and read it, or it's in the description if you're on YouTube or Rumble. I just came back from a place where they hated me and everything I stand for, a land where our brothers are fighting for others who don't even care anymore. If I'm not the same little freckle-faced kid that you ran around with before, I just came back from a war. So said the incredible and dearly beloved Darryl Worley in his song, which captures the essence of a soldier returning home as a completely changed man, and not necessarily for the better. But what exactly did these soldiers come home to? A country full of foreigners who hate us, rampant inflation, corruption at every level of politics and administration, discriminations against the host population and hiring practices, and ever-increasing violent crime, often at the hands of an ever-increasing minority population. Maybe the PTSD isn't just stress-induced. Maybe it's the feeling of hopelessness. What was it all for, after all? Why did we go and fight and die? For nothing? So we could be hated and replaced in our homeland? How do we combat the loneliness, the hopelessness, and where do we go from here? And I think that gets to the heart of a lot of the issue here is you come back after doing your deployment, seeing the world, fighting people, killing people for what? For freedom, you know. Dang, you know, dude, how did my freedoms get way over there, right? It's like it's a joke, but it's kind of true. Like, what are we doing in the middle of the desert or in the middle of this mountain range, out in the middle of nowhere, in this graveyard of empires? Why are we here? And you come home to find your country just completely ravaged. And there's no scouring of the shires going on when you get here.
Yeah. For those not familiar, do you want to give a brief summary of the scouring?
Yeah, so the scouring of the Shire, when the hobbits come back from their journey, you know, in Lord of the Rings, the movies, right? The story ends with, okay, we destroyed the ring, we're all good.
Yeah.
But Tolkien, he was a soldier in World War I, and he knew how life really works. And the last part of that book is the hobbits coming back to the Shire and finding that evil had crept in. that evil that they were away fighting in the battlefield had crept in back home, and they had to fight the battle again. They had to retake their homeland from the enemy that they were fighting overseas.
Yeah.
And that's
specifically
exactly
Saruman is there.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, the guy, right? The guy that they were fighting. And that is exactly what we've got going on. Saruman is back in the Shire. Our homeland right now has been taken over by Saruman, and he has completely perverted justice here. And while we're off, and this is royal we, not me personally, but while we're off fighting for our freedom in foreign lands, our freedom has been completely taken away back home. It's gone. It's no longer there. And that's the last chapter of the book for a reason, because you can't have the fight off in the distance without having the fight at home. It's going to come home at some point too.
Yeah, that's why in my Robin Hood book, that it's still going through the editing process. I've done all I can at this point, but like there's two sides of this dance of editing, but basically like the whole thing is the scouring of the Shire. Like the whole book is that it's coming home from war. In his case, it's the Holy Land, it was the Crusades. And you come home and things just aren't where they should have been. And like, that was really, I do in that book, I do use the term soldier's heart, but just PTSD type things where it's like, you come home, and I had a instance this week where, as trivial as it may sound to some people, I go to a guy's house. He calls up my company. I go to his house to do work on his house, and he's obviously Hispanic, probably Mexican. In Texas, I just assume if you're Hispanic, you're Mexican, right? Like if you're in New York and someone's Hispanic, you just assume they're Puerto Rican. Like there's all the, you know what I mean? Like different parts of the country, there's different kinds of Mexican.
Well, and Hondurans are just Mexicans, right?
Yeah, why not? Close enough. But I go to this guy, and he's like, I don't know. The first thing he says to me is like, "Hola, señor," or something like that. I'm like, oh, like I'm just like fighting everything in my power to just not say it, right? And I'm like, oh, hey, I'm here to do work on your house. And he's like, habla español? I'm like, no. Which apparently
no.
I can say that sentence in Spanish. I can say no. But he says, ¿por qué no? Which I know means why not. And what I wanted to ask him is like, why don't you speak English is the real question. So, I mean, like moments like that, it's like, do you guys understand like the balls to ask a question like that? Why don't you speak Spanish?
Yeah, I'm in your country.
Spanish. Yeah. You broke into where I live. I know you didn't come here legally not speaking English, so don't give me that crap. Unless you came in under Biden and stayed under the radar or something like that. But that's such garbage, dude. And it's funny because it's always like they're kids that speak perfect American English that are just like translating for them. So you have like a 10-year-old, like you're having as an adult to like talk to a 10-year-old so that the person who's probably lived within these borders for 20 years can understand the native tongue. Things like that. It's the little things like that that just make me question, what was I doing? Why did I do this? When we, again, the royal we, when we pulled out of Afghanistan under Joe Biden, and there's that crazy video where Afghans were like trying to hold on to the outside of the plane. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was so crazy. Like, what was your plan? You're just gonna hang on to the outside of the plane over the entire Atlantic? Like, insane, right? So, but yeah, we just shipped a whole bunch of them over here. So I try to imagine, like, imagine you're somebody that, you lost your son or, God forbid, your daughter in the war in Afghanistan, right? And then here come all these Afghan refugees over. What is the reason that you tell yourself that your child went over there to die? Because what we were saying for the longest time was, well, we fight them over there so that we don't have to fight them over here. Well, you just sent your kid to die over there, and now they live next door over here.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been swapped out because they wouldn't fight their own war. We sent our guy. It was like LBJ was, I'm not going to send American boys to go do something the Vietnamese boys should be doing. But then, obviously he did.
He did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just things like that just make it's like, I get it. Like, I get it when guys like yourself or like Eric Kahn was very hard on Glazer. Guys, like, it's like, I get why you didn't join the military. I'm not saying like, oh man, you chickened out or whatever, because it's such a silly situation, right? Like, if you actually have self-preservation as an attribute, then you're not going to join today's military. Come on, man. Like, it's such a stupid situation. Now, when I was over there, so I was in Afghanistan. I was in northern Afghanistan, and we caught Osama bin Laden in Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
Pakistan was hanging on to him.
Pakistan, our astute ally, Pakistan, who gets millions of dollars, billions of dollars of our aid. Yeah. Who have nukes, by the way. Pakistan.
So then and then of course we took the body of Osama bin Laden and dumped it in the ocean like he's Megatron or something. And just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Makes me question if that even happened. But anyways,
I remember when that happened. I was like, if I were the president of the United States and we killed Osama bin Laden, I would have them bring me his head, and I would make a speech in front of the Capitol building, and I would pull his head out of a box and just hold it. Be like, this is Osama bin Laden. This is what we do to people who attack us. And then, throw his head into the crowd for people to kick around and keep as a trophy. It's like that. That's what I would have done. Because, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do with enemies, right?
Well, so I would have went with the drinking out of his skull thing, but I would have done it like on TV, like the really solemn, like, my fellow Americans, like kind of one of those kind of speeches, and then just be like, this is a Chateau LeBlanc 87 whatever, and this is the skull of Osama bin Laden, and this is me drinking the Chateau whatever out of Osama bin Laden's skull. Yeah, like, I would have done something like that, because that's the kind of man I am. I believe in that. I think that would it would set a standard, but
and it would give closure.
Yeah. But instead,
which we don't have.
We threw. Yeah. So that was a weird time. So I was there like when they found, I was in Afghanistan where we thought he was, when they found him in Pakistan. And so we're all on edge, like, well, what are we going to do? But I also thought coming home that was going to be it. Like, okay, we did the thing.
Yeah, we're done. Let's go home.
Killed him and all his kids, so let's mosey. But no, stayed there for a bunch longer. Don't know why. I do want to say, as far as like coming home, right? So I infamously grew up in Northern California in the Central Valley. And when I was coming home, I flew in through, so I'm coming directly from Afghanistan to do like 2 weeks back home before going back. So I come through, I kind of puddle jump a little bit and end up in DFW airport. First time I ever set foot in Texas. And like the way that I remember it was just like, it was like the Soul Train line we were walking through. Like there was just people on the side of us. Everyone wanted to like shake our hands, and everyone had their signs and all this stuff. And the local fire department showed up and they're shooting their water cannons over our plane. And that's their salute for us. And dude, it was crazy. So it felt like the whole world showed up. And then, you know, I get on my plane and, I like crash right away. I like fall asleep, and then they like wake me up by like shaking me because there was like a first class seat that was available. And so, but I scared them because I was like, you know, I'm like up against the window, like out before the plane even took off. And they're like, they kind of do this, and I'm just like, ugh, like I do like one of those kind of things because I'm on edge, and scared the flight attendant. And then, but you know, they put me in this first class seat, and they're just like, "We love you guys, woo!" But man, by the time I got into Oakland International, bro, whole other world stepping in there. Everyone's giving me like these weird, dirty, because you're in uniform, right? You don't just have your civilian clothes ready to go. So I'm like walking through Oakland, and everyone's like looking at me all weird, and like, I mean, they didn't spit on me like they would have done Vietnam era, but it was so different because like DFW was like, you know, fat guy in the 5-gallon hat is like, "Thank you for your service, young man," like that whole song and dance. But yeah, that was a crazy contrast. So it wasn't like every single person that I came home to was a bad guy, right? Like Texas is cool. Texas is cool to veterans. I will say that. I don't appreciate them filling it with Indians. That feels cruddy. But what are you going to do? Other than, I'm not going to say it, but.
Well, in the last couple minutes that we've got here, I wanted to hit as many of these topics as I can. So, yeah, the name of the show is PTSD and Inflation.
Yes.
And we've covered the PTSD, but not the inflation part. But it really is integral because it's, you know, asking the question about like, what am I coming home to? And here's somebody just posting on Twitter. Let me blow that up for y'all so you can see it. But, you know, when the beefy 5-layer burrito was introduced at Taco Bell in 2009, it was 89 cents. It is now $5. Even adjusting for inflation, it should only be about $1.39. But nah, food's not more expensive. Don't worry, guys. And, you know, people had some things to say. And this, I believe, is the flashpoint for a lot of the discussion that started that we're going to cover here. You know, 1.2 million views. Lots of people saw this. Lots of people had thoughts. But I wanted to show this here. You know, oh, young people, just pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. And here is a video just showing us income versus the price of rent. Now, the price of rent is not a, you know, an indicator of inflation, but it is corollary. But you can see in 1985 going to 1986, income is going higher than rent, and then all of a sudden in the 80s, it takes off. Wages go down, rent's still going to the moon. All through the 90s, it plateaus, comes up a little bit in the mid to late 90s.
This is as a percentage of the other. So this is income as a percentage of rent.
Mm-hmm.
Or rent as a percentage of income, or something like so it by definition, like it's comparing the two numbers and just showing you like how much it, like, even with inflation, rent alone which you can't really. I mean, a lot of people will try to say like, well, we get better things now for what we buy. So like with cars, right? They'll say like, well, but now you have all these additional features that you didn't have before. With rent, it's kind of a pass or fail thing. Like,
yeah, it's like you're. I mean, with rent, and I mean, at the end of this, you can see December 2023, rent is 160%. Wages income is at below 40%. I mean, this is insurmountable. You have to live somewhere. You can't just live under a bridge. You have to live somewhere, and the cost of living somewhere is just going up indefinitely. And you can see there's a few dips here. In 2012 there's a dip, and in 2020 there's a dip, but it doesn't last. It immediately skyrockets up immediately after. The 2008 crash, which is supposed to be really good for homeowners, the opportunity to go buy a house, it did not affect this at all. It just skyrockets continuously. And people have been talking about the cost of food, the cost of living. So here is Andrew Colvett, who's with TPUSA. He says, one of our TPUSA college students gave me his take on affordability. A burrito shouldn't cost $20. Yeah, a lot of this is a hangover from COVID and Biden era inflation, but the lived experience is the same. It just feels like basic things cost too much. And he's responding to Matt Walsh talking about the cost of groceries. And here is everybody's favorite Joel Berry, who said, last night my wife made homemade burritos for our family of 8, and it cost less than $20 for everyone. I'm beginning to think the affordability crisis is really an I don't know how to cook crisis. Oh, ho, ho, I can't believe you're eating out. Why don't you eat at home? Things that it's not like we haven't heard this. The argument a burrito shouldn't cost $20 is not saying I eat out. It's saying I should be able to, first off. But anyway, Tyler Austin 55 on Twitter. Give him a follow. He's a good dude, personal friend of ours. He knows both of us, actually. Yep. But he's quoting Barry. He says, my wife made burritos, family of 8, $20. Okay, so you're saying the affordability crisis isn't real because your wife knows how to cook rice and beans. Shrugs, still smiling. I'm saying it's manageable. So you're saying if every American just marries someone who can make a burrito for $2.50 a head, inflation goes away. I mean, when you put it that way, that's the way it is. It's a coupon. Yeah, and for those of you who have not watched the movie The Big Short, you should. But yeah, I mean, he's exactly right. It's a bubble. It's a bubble, right? Lots of memes coming out of this video. But yeah, the idea that, it's okay. As long as you marry a wife who knows how to scrimp and save, you'll survive. My guy, that is not the sign of a good economy. I went and fought and died so that I could come home and fight rampant inflation. Is that really what I'm coming home to? And some guy named Sean Russell tweeted, he says, Joe Barry also believes you can stretch the American people with beans.
he had another tweet.
That's
where
in
he
response
says,
to
I stretch the meat with beans or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, well, we know how Joel Berry feels about what it means to be an American. So.
Yeah. And I mean, and there have been a lot of tweets about the cost of especially beef going up. Crenshaw, go ahead.
Do you have pulled up where I had the screenshots of previous Joel Berry tweets where he's complaining about the price of groceries?
I do not have that one pulled up. Let me scroll through your stuff and see if I can.
I'm going to step away for a very quick second. Be right back.
All right, go ahead. But okay, here it is. This is from Daniel Concannon. He says, and this, boys and girls, is what a gaslighting sociopath looks like. And it's just a bunch of tweets from Joel Berry. I'd like to go back to when there were no wars and I could afford groceries, please. After careful consideration, I've decided to root for my own country in the war. I'm beginning to think the affordability crisis is really an I don't know how to cook crisis. So yeah, this This guy's talking out of both sides of his mouth. He's just a liar. That's all there is to it. And Dan Crenshaw, he says, just hearing about this dumb $20 burrito debate. So just thought I'd make the losers on social media angry before going to bed. Stop whining, get a job, eat ramen like the rest of us did in college on a budget with 4 roommates. The market doesn't care what you think something should cost. Only communists care. They set prices, remember? Then everyone starves, remember? Are you a communist or are you an American adult male capable of handling his own shit? Well, Dan Crenshaw, retard pirate. Oh, look, readers added context they thought people might want to know. What's this? Let's click on that link. America, our food prices are too high. What are you doing about inflation? Biden admin, just be vegan and stop complaining, you bunch of rubes. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, what's this one? Dan Crenshaw also has a history of insider trading stocks while in Congress, allegedly. Oh, look at that. Yeah, you can track how much money this gay pirate is making off of our economy while we're starving. Yeah, he's making all kinds of money off of insider trading, which is illegal for you. But look at these graphs, man. It's illegal for you to do this, but if he's doing it with insider views, because he's the one literally making the laws, he's allowed to insider trade, but not you, my guy. That's illegal, don't you know? But he's going to lecture us about the affordability of groceries after himself admitting that it's a problem. He's going to call you a communist because you want to eat food. Only communists want to eat food. That's how that works, don't you know? And then into the memory hole. I work 16 hours a day, 6 days a week to support a family of 4 on a salary that could afford a house 6 years ago, but now can barely afford an apartment, eating bologna 3 times a day because regular deli meat is over $10 a pound. And I want to pretend like I'm saving money just so some faggot with a wet hole for an eye, who's collected every single one of his paychecks from my taxes, who boosts his income with insider trading, who tells me I need infinity brown people to take the jobs I apparently don't have, can tell me I need to feed my kids only ramen and have strangers move in. Golden age of the American dream. And yeah, it do feel like that. It do be like that, Mr. Stansel.
I was telling someone today, this is a real story. Last week, I not purposefully just lost 10 pounds. Like that was between one doctor visit and another, because they have to like officially for like, because I had to go under anesthesia on Monday to have the spinal thing happen. And, you know, they weigh you right at that moment because they need to know exactly what you can handle weight wise. And they were like, are you trying to lose weight? I'm like, no. What did it come out to? They're like, dude, you lost 10 pounds over the last week. Didn't mean to do that. But it just happens. Like, it's the way that everyone's like consciously thinking about what they're going to eat. Yeah, it's the way it is, man. Like, that's what, like, if you're fat, that's a you problem, bro. Like, there is no like, oh, I ate bad food that made me fat. You could just eat less of that, dude. Like, there is no like the bad food makes you fat, but the good food makes you skinny. That doesn't make any sense. That's the opposite of what's true.
Calories in, calories out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyhow, Cat Turd, who is a turd, posted thousands of people on social media complaining about burrito prices on their $1,400 iPhones is rich. And Shoe on Head, who, you know, women in general shouldn't be public figures, but she's been a pretty excellent bellwether for a normal woman. She says, it's not about burritos and you know it, boomer. And she just posts these pictures of his own tweets. I'm old enough to remember no inflation, a booming economy, $1.79 gas, energy independence, and no wars under President Trump. See, these boomers and neocons, their own worst enemy is them under Biden. And then his next tweet: anyone saying inflation is easing doesn't buy their own groceries. Oh, okay. So, well, cat turd, seems like you cooked your own goose there. And here's a comment from Mike Shelby. He says an iPhone generates more than $1,400 of value over its lifetime. Your mom generates that every night. A burrito does not, however. And I just wanted to say, this is my phone. All right, this is my phone. This is an iPhone. It is an SE. I bought it used, and it has a cracked screen because I cannot afford to fix it. I paid $300 for this phone, and I had to save up to do it. Okay, I do not have a $1,400 iPhone, cat turd. You do. I have a $300 phone that I have had for more than 2 years with a cracked screen because I cannot afford to upgrade it or fix it. That is not the problem. Moving on. Jack Posobiec. Neocons will look you dead in the face and say young people in earlier generations didn't go out to eat when literally everyone knows what 50s diner culture was.
Absolutely.
And, he's getting to something here. The boomers all want to say, oh, why don't you starve like I did? The boomers famously went out to eat all the time, bought amazing cars that are classics today, things that were disposable. The car culture, the keeping up with the Joneses, they would have to get a new car every couple of years because they didn't want to be seen with the old style of headlights, because it was faux pas to be driving around in an old vehicle.
The vehicle that, like the bummy vehicle that Daniel's mom in The Karate Kid has, it's either a 68 or a 69 Malibu wagon, which today would be a classic. It's probably got a 350 small block or other engine that people to this day continue to love. I know for a fact it's 68 or 69 because of the front end, because the front end does a very specific thing like this, and from 70 onward it's very flat in the front. But yeah, I remember I was watching that a couple years back and just being like, that is a Malibu wagon. Like, that is actually a very
sought after vehicle,
sought after classic car. Yeah, this is crazy.
The trash cars of the boomers are cars that people would kill for to get today. I mean, can you imagine if that car was released on the showroom floor today? People would, it would be $1 million car. People would scramble for it. People would fight over it in public.
That was like when I had to sell my 69 El Camino. There was a kid from Texarkana came all the way down with like a trailer because he was like, and it was funny because a bunch of boomers were like trying to lowball me.
Yeah.
Like
I only paid $500 for this back in the 50s.
This kid was actually willing to pay the $6,000 that it was worth, because you can't just go, like you say, you can't just go to showroom floor and buy a 69 El Camino. So, this kid comes out with a trailer and hauls it all the way back, and I was like, all right, good for you, dude. Like,
yep. White boys getting it done. Yep. Raising Dragon Slayers, good dude. Give him a follow. But this is his take on it. He says, adjusted for my income, I would wager that we eat out way less than the median American, definitely less than your typical UMC family. Yet I feel so much wealthier than my parents from what I remember growing up. I'm raising 5 kids on a single salary, and our standard of living is definitely higher than my parents, who raised 2 kids on one income. And my father did well for himself. I remember my mom combing through newspapers and magazines weekly for coupons to find the best deals at restaurants so my family could eat out once a week. It was a big deal for us. America has become so much wealthier in 30 years. And I wanted to give some pushback on this, because I too have a large family. I have 5 children. We're a family of 7. We live on one income. And I remember, we all remember back in the 90s, moms clipping coupons. And that's not really a thing anymore in, the literal sense. But there are still deals to be made. And my wife is a coupon queen. Now it's all digital, it's all on her phone, but it's the same concept. And we do not eat out once a week. I remember when I was a kid, and you know what? We literally did eat out once a week. There would be weeks when we had to miss, but once my dad was employed privately in the private sector as a doctor, once we were no longer in the military, we actually had money. We ate out once a week, and that was a treat. That was a special thing. Do you know what the treat for my kids is? The treat for my kids is when we go to HEB, the local grocery store, and we buy freezer pops. That did not used to be a treat when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my grandmother had a freezer full of freezer pops, and she was poor. Poor as a church mouse, and that freezer was always stocked with freezer pops. And that's not to say that she didn't sacrifice so that we could have that. I'm sure she did. But the fact is that what used to be a treat when I was a kid is now practically unattainable. And what used to be everyday life when I was a kid is now a treat. That is not wealthier.
What they're not understanding with the boomer thing, with the boomer comparison, you could graduate high school and not do any higher education, and you could work a menial job,
a labor job,
yeah, which, no shame in that, but I mean, like, you're just basically like falling backwards into a well-paying job. You weren't fighting foreigners for that job. You can just go do, like, maybe even a factory job. You end up with a pension. Things are cheap while you're doing. You could easily buy a house. Like we just show the percentage of income to housing. Like, I understand that TVs are cheaper now. I get that, but how many of us even have TVs anymore?
I don't own a single one.
Right? Like I
have never owned a TV in my life.
You know what?
32 years old, I have never owned a TV.
I thought that this was something that happened. Well, so this happened to me in the Army, but when I got out of the Army, I noticed that a lot of people my age were doing this as well. Was, in the Army, you don't really have, when you're deployed at least. Well, actually, like when I was just in the barracks, I didn't have a TV. I had a laptop, and I would just sit in bed, and I would have a laptop like on my lap, and like I'm laying back and I'm just watching stuff on a smaller screen, right? I wasn't looking for like the big screen like my dad always had. And like I noticed like a lot of millennials will just do that, have a smaller screen. I'll watch on YouTube, whatever, if I want to watch like sports highlights or something like that. Well, I mean, I don't have a TV where I'm watching it. I'm just watching it right here in my little phone. So, I mean, it's, it's just very different. But like things like owning a house, right? Like I say this time and again, I happen to have lucked out in the situation I did to where I can own a house. Most people cannot. And even with what I did, it was basically like, because me and my wife are both veterans and we both like did college at the same time. So we got the GI Bill at the same time. So that pays your rent, but we were in one apartment. So we were able to save a bunch of money that way. And it was just a number of things like that added up. And we were able to put like $60,000 down on a house, on this house that I'm in right now. And in total, it was only like 170,000. So put large percentage down. But that also took us giving up being around any amount of family or friends. We had to start completely over. We didn't have jobs set up here. We just picked a spot that was cheap enough and moved out here and hoped we'd find it along the way. And we did. But yeah, it was just the amount of things that you have to sacrifice to have what boomers just naturally had is pretty insane.
Mm-hmm. And this next one, I think, talks to exactly what you were mentioning. This is Owen. Don't know anything about him, but he says, Boomer, nobody wants to work anymore. You, I work 50 hours a week. Boomer, doing what? On a computer? You, yes, it pays $58,000. Boomer, I made $1,800 and owned a house. You, that's the whole point. Boomer, we didn't complain. We just worked. You worked one job and got a pension. I worked one job and get a 401k match if I'm lucky. Boomer, nobody handed me anything. You, college was $600 a year. Your first house was 2 times your salary. Your employer covered your family's health insurance. Boomer, that was normal back then. You, exactly. It was normal. Now it's impossible. Boomer, so what do you want? A handout? You, I want what was normal. Boomer, silence. You didn't outwork us. You just lived in the version of the country where working worked. Yeah, he's right. He's absolutely right. Working doesn't work anymore. Why are people turning to socialism? Because of this. Because of this nonsense. We had the American dream. And, people talking about the American dream. Here's I Dissent. Says, I'm 52 years old. I've been working since I was 15 years old. I have no savings, no retirement, and will never own a home before I die. And there is now a trillionaire. Now, his take is dumb. There is now a trillionaire. Okay, that's kind of non sequitur. But Seth Dillon, this is his response. I'm 43 years old. I started playing tennis when I was 12. I have no ATP points, no sponsorship, and will never win a major championship before I die. And some kid from Italy is number 1 in the world. The system is broken. Into the Memory Hole had a very perfect response. Wanting to own a home and retire is just as delusional as thinking you're going to be a world-renowned sports star. So, we all agree, the American dream is dead. Yep. That's what he's admitting.
I don't know how Seth Dillon initially made his money, but the reason that you know who Seth Dillon is because he purchased the hard work of a man named Adam Ford. Adam Ford is the guy who created the Babylon Bee. Mm-hmm. He used to, I don't know if he still has his website, but it was Adam, the number 4, and then the letter D.com. So it was adamford.com. And he started by making these really great little cartoon panels, like funny papers type cartoon panels, but they were online. I don't remember what it was called back then, but they would get shared a lot. He's good. It wasn't like the artwork was great, but like what he would say was just really good. He was good at arguing his points through either satire or whatever. But then I remember the announcement that he made where he was like, hey guys, I got something big. I'm going to stop doing my usual thing. And I'm going to do like this next big thing. And then it turned out to be the Babylon Bee. And he did that for a bit. And then Seth Dillon or Joel Berry together. I don't know what the relationship is, but I don't know why you're smiling. I'm not trying to imply that it's gay or something, but oh, there you go.
Adam Ford. After 9 years, I'm finally ready to confess the real reason I started the Babylon Bee. The truth is I was offered $100 million by the Mossad to found a conservative Christian satire site. I told them no firmly because I knew they did 9/11. But then they increased their offer to $500 million, and to my shame, I could not resist. So I took the money, bought a $9 domain and a $60 WordPress theme, and I did it. I wish I could take it all back, but I can't. I pray that some of you can find it in your hearts to forgive me.
This dude's great. I love this dude. Like I said, I was following him like from the beginning. Like I remember when he was doing his all his cartoons look like that. Like it's just like little
like SKCD kind of style.
Yeah, but he's good. And so I remember when he started that, and I was like, oh, this is just like The Onion, whatever. And then it just took off because I guess the Onion just gave up.
Well, The Onion kind of fell off after a while.
And he was good.
They got Trump derangement syndrome, and
he was writing some good stuff, and it was just him. And eventually the Babylon Bee was bought by the people who currently have it, so the Mossad, and they're doing their thing.
Yeah,
they're hit and miss, but I mean, like the fact that like you just purchased some other guy's hard work, like that's how you do the Babylon Bee. You didn't found that.
You're literally rich kids.
Yeah,
born with a silver spoon in their mouth, bought something that was profitable and working, and despite the drop off in quality, continues to be profitable.
Yeah,
that's not impressive. That's not the American dream, right? You telling me what burritos should cost, that's pretty rich coming from you. Here's another guy talking about it. 10 years ago, on a $60,000 salary, I was rich, and then we imported 100 million lesser hominids and gave them and half the country free food and housing and healthcare. And I'm supposed to believe that has nothing to do with everything being unaffordable. And he's retweeting Doomer, who says, I am entitled to this costing $5, and I don't care how many of you have to die for that to happen. And what is it? It's Taco Bell.
And
Two Dr. Peppers, 4 soft tacos, 2 what did they call those things that they would fold them in the weird way? I don't remember what those are called, but and then a bowl of what's it called? Nachos. Yeah. I mean, I remember when Taco Bell was affordable. I remember when it was cheap food.
Yeah, I remember if you spent $5 at Taco Bell, like you crushed it. You were a fatty. Yeah. Like you gorged on $5.
Yeah. Now $5 buys you 1 gas station Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Yep. And here's somebody retweeting this. He says, basically the generational divide. Mike Wilnow says, I'm Gen Z. I work 50 hours a week. My blue collar job, make around 100K. My wife is able to stay home and homeschool our kids, which is incredible, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But I shouldn't have a budget this tight on 100K a year in America. I shouldn't have to drive a 20-year-old truck with no AC on 100K a year in America. I shouldn't have to pick and choose which bills I pay on time on 100K a year in America. Ignore this message at your own peril, GOP. Yep. And he's quote tweeting Ben Shapiro on the $20 burritos. And here's Kurt Schlichter says, I'm not sure exactly what you want.
Who is this?
Just a boomer. A boomer is the point. This is the generational divide. He says, he tells you what he wants. I want to not have to budget like this. Yeah. I shouldn't have to live paycheck to paycheck on 100K a year in America. Yeah. I don't know what you want, man. What do you want? What do you want? This is what I want right here. I want the American dream back.
I had mentioned when I was awake at like 4 a.m. On Twitter earlier today, I had said like, some boomer was like, I drove a truck that I bought for $50. And, the point at the end was he was trying to say like, do your time. Right. I did my time. Now you need to do your time. And I had just said, like, I would lay down my life right now if it meant that my sons could live in an America where you could buy a truck in any condition for $50. That's so insane. Like, that's just another level of weird.
$2,000 will not get you a reliably running pickup truck.
Not even really, because he's like,
$1,000.
Yeah, and he's like, the owner even took the battery out when I bought it and all this kind of stuff, bro. Like,
yeah, and you went to the store and bought another one for $2.
You bought a battery, yeah, maybe you messed with some wiring a little bit and it took you the afternoon, and now you have a truck that runs. And it was like, dude, it was like a 70s Chevy, like the kind that people would love to have today. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Just so dumb and completely disingenuous. And speaking of disingenuous, here's Douglas Mackey, who says, that's nothing, or no, sorry, let me, Cynical Publius says, Amazon has 24 count cases of burritos for $67.97. That's $2.83 a burrito, just saying. All right, so we got freezer food goy slop. And Douglas Mackey, who isn't he one of the January 6th prisoners? I don't remember. But he says, that's nothing. Amazon has wet dog food for 13 cents an ounce.
Yeah.
That's $2.08 a pound. Slap a pound of that on top of a hamburger bun, and you've got your sloppy Joe. Eat enough of those, and you'll save enough money to make a down payment on a Chipotle burrito with Klarna once a week.
There you go.
Yeah, so there's your solution, guys. There's your solution. Is wet dog food. That's how you know the economy is strong. That's how you know the American dream is well and good. Is we are reduced to eating dog food.
That reminds me of that guy. Cool. There was a 4chan green text at one point where a guy was talking about like these. It was like biscuits that they feed to gorillas, like protein biscuits or something like that. And he said like he would just eat those because he was trying to protein max. And
right,
it was like eating zoo food and stuff. Like people are like, man, that might actually work. Like,
yeah,
it was funny, but people were also just kind of like, man, that's a really cheap way to get protein, bro. Like, good for you. Well, we might have to do it. We might have to eat chimp biscuits.
We're all going to be eating zoo chow. God. Yeah. And this is the last link I have for tonight, but I thought sums it up nicely. Dixon Uranus, which is his real name, by the way, guys.
That's not. Get out of here.
But Dixon Uranus said, hey, Snowflake, if you can afford a $20 burrito, if you can't afford a $20 burrito, just rent your womb out to a gay conservative couple.
Yeah.
There you go. That's your solution right there, guys. Is the right wing out of touch? No, it's the kids who are wrong. It's the kids who are wrong, for sure. So what did we fight for?
Yeah.
What did we go all the way over there to fight for?
What are we currently fighting for?
Yeah, what are we currently
in Iran? What are we doing? Because that's only hurt inflation more.
Even more. Yeah.
It's cost us on gas. What happened to Drill Baby Drill? Remember when that was like his thing was he was like, when I'm president, we're going to be drilling in Texas. Like, I'm going to open up the oil wells. We're going to have so much oil coming from America. You're not going to believe it. We're not even going to need Iran. And then here we are fighting Iran.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, dude. I remember like this second, I guess you say second Trump presidency is the second term. It's just so different. The vibes are so different, dude. I remember when Trump was president, like around 2017 or 18, like I remember telling my wife, like we're going to tell our kids about the glory days of the Trump presidency. Actually, during the Biden presidency, I was saying that. I was like, man, like, remember how good it was with Trump? Remember when gas hit like $1.70 or so? I don't think it got down to $1, did it?
Not quite, but it was getting close.
It got well below $2 though. Like we were shocked when it was at $2. Like when it was like at $2 flat. Like I remember taking a picture of that, and then like a couple days later it was under $2, and I was just like, I don't even know what to do. Like it was just like a celebration. It felt like the entire up until
surreal.
Yeah, up until 2020, like the whole COVID thing, when he fumbled that, it felt like just a celebration every day. And groceries were cheap because gas was cheap. Everything was cheap because gas was cheap.
Yeah, that's how the world works.
yeah, it was just, man, it was just good times, dude.
Yeah.
And this second term has just been the opposite. Like, I know he's not to blame for all of the inflation. Like, I understand that.
Well, he started it.
Yeah, he
You
did
remember
start.
the Trump bucks
Yep.
during COVID? It was under
Yep.
Trump when the Trump bucks came in, and
Yep.
Biden had to match it in order to keep his cachet, in order to not look like a pansy.
Yep.
He had to match Trump bucks, and so that's why he did his. So this
Yeah.
inflation, this 200% inflation, which I do not trust the real numbers. I'm looking at the cost of bread, I'm looking at the cost of milk, I'm looking at the cost of eggs. Those things have gone up 3 times since COVID. All right, a dozen eggs is $5 now.
Yeah, it's actually worth having chickens now. Like, it was kind of a silly vanity project at first. But
yeah, it used to be 89 cents. Under Trump, a dozen eggs was 89 cents, and it's $5 now. The same brand of egg. And I don't know who's doing quality control on those eggs, but they're also the wrong size. I mean, these grade A eggs got smaller. I don't know who's in charge of that. I don't know who I need to talk to. But stop sending me your tiny eggs, guys. But for all the plan trusters, just one last thing. Reminder, Trump has given more people citizenship in America than he has deported. So for all the people who are saying, oh, trust the plan, Trump 2 is not Trump 1. Yeah. For sure. Not even close.
Glory days, man.
Yeah. Yeah. But let's get into comments. We are way behind on time. But Yellow Moss says, don't get these guys started on gas stations again. Yeah.
I appreciate a good gas station.
I do. Hey, we're working guys who drive around. We know the gas stations. Yellow Moss says, this wide back Mexican can be my human shield.
That was the first thing.
Dude.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to war, having some okay, indulge my racism a little bit, okay, guys? But I think I'd rather have a Mexican next to me in the foxhole than an African American. Maybe. I don't know. Some of those dudes are big monsters. I could see. I mean, if you had like a linebacker dude, I could see, charging a hill next to that guy. That could be pretty cool. But Check for Tunnel says, we had guys in 2007 who got waivers, who got waived the ASVAB.
I think he's joking, dude. You've got to be joking, because that was the joke.
It was during the surge, dude.
That was the joke, though.
Maybe it was like, a joke and he misunderstood.
Get these ASVAB waivers out of here. It's just a way of calling you a retard. Like, you had to be waived on your basic cognition test.
Yeah, but like most jokes, it's probably founded in some reality. But Yellow Moss says, low score obesity and criminal records. Sounds racist.
What are you going to do?
You know what? I think you got a point. Texas Azar, the Texas Azar says, the Marines will let you in as long as you only eat the red crowns. That's right. That the Marine ASVAB is color coded. Check for Tunnel says, we had one guy, literal mental retardation, sent by his own mother who was dying because he needed to be taken care of. Barrel of monkeys going through training with private retard, but like a mule. Yeah, you've told me those stories, and surreal for sure. Yellow Moss says, Israel will let the fatties and oldies die for them. Yeah, that's so. They're so inclusive, man.
Blessed be.
Jada Geek says, not directly on topic, but tangentially related. I'm going to the Sons of Confederate Veterans International headquarters in Columbia, Tennessee tomorrow. Very exciting. Very cool. Very cool.
Always excited to hear that. Organization very close to my heart. Both of our hearts. I mean,
must mean he's in the org, which is cool, dude. Maybe we'll run into each other someday. Hey, if in the next year or so you see me at nationals, come hit me up. Let me know it's you. I'll buy you a beer or whatever it is that you drink. You might be a Baptist, which I'm a Baptist, but I like beer.
SCV Texas division is going to be in Granbury next year. and that is in my neck of the woods. So
I'll have
if
to
you're
make it.
coming, hit me up because I want to see people there.
All right. Check for tunnels. You can fight for survival. Wasn't the topic being discussed? No one said we can't survive. The topic was things are getting hard, and the rabbi needed to change the subject.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the thing is, like, a lot of our guys now, and I understand where they're coming from. They'll be like, start a business, right? Or like, do this thing where you got like Grant Cardone type guys that are like the 10x rule, where you got to go 10 times harder than you think you have to, or 10 times harder than the guy next to you, and you got to just crush it. They didn't have to work that hard back then. Like I said, like you would just like accidentally graduate high school and then have a job that pays for, like, the way that my buddy explained this to me was that it was somewhat normal, like it wasn't abnormal to be a guy like in the 50s or 60s that was making so much money that you had like a second secret family,
right,
that your family didn't know about, but you were keeping two full families afloat on one income. Like, how would you, like, I stretch to make my one income. Both of us are single income households. It's I stretch personally. I'm not making like a ton of money. I was making better money before inflation hit, and I got a pay decrease without officially getting a pay decrease.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm making it, woo me, I'm making it, but it ain't the same as doing well. I don't take vacations, right? Like I don't have like fancy dinners.
Yeah. I mean, vacation is you take a Friday off so that you can go down to the Gulf for a weekend.
Yeah.
Like, when I was a kid, you got a 2-week vacation. And it was paid. Those days are gone. Yep. And I don't have any retirement.
Yeah.
None. I don't have a retirement plan. I've got nothing.
That's a big reason I'm pushing for my VA
broke.
rating, hoping that'll be my retirement.
Yep. Yellow Moss says, Dan Crenshaw in 10 years, just eat every other day and start like a man, you weakling commies.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep. Just, stop eating. It's so simple, guys. Kevin Bratton, Dan Yarg Mahardy Crenshaw is not a pirate captain I would want to mop the poop deck for. Yeah. No, he sounds kind of heartless and soulless, doesn't he? Check for tunnels. He was the Hillary Clinton meme. He was the Hillary Clinton meme prisoner. Ah, that's right. So he was not a January 6th prisoner. He was a guy who literally went to jail for posting a meme about Hillary Clinton. Yellowmoth, I used to spend $40 a week on groceries and gas. And those days are over. I mean, I remember when my wife and I got married and started having kids, and it was like $100 used to get us really nice groceries, like name brand, sides of beef. Now we could not live on $100 a week for groceries. And part of that is because I have more kids. But a lot of that is the fact that every time we go to the grocery store, we're spending $300. I mean, half my paycheck every week, it seems to be going to food. Is that right? Is that appropriate? And the other half goes to taxes. The Jaded Geek says the current war in Iran is about becoming the oil hegemon, according to Tim Pool.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing from.
Yeah, that's the theory. How's that working out for you?
Yeah, it's not working. So
couple months, and let's see how it plays out for you.
Yeah, well, that was a couple months ago. That was the big thing. Oh, just wait, I'm a plan truster. You guys are panicking and all this. And well, it's been a couple months since all that. Where have we gotten? In fact, Trump announces every other day that we've won or we've lost, or Strait of Hormuz is open or it's closed, or there's discussions.
Yeah, and then he posts that it's open and the war is over, and then he buys a whole bunch of stocks on oil And then it turns out, oh, just kidding, it's not over, we're bombing again. And then he sells the stocks. It's just it's blatant rigging of the market, and he's making tons of money on it, and his kids are making billions off of it, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of it. Yellow Moss says, I got those El Monterey burritos. That's what reminded me of that. Yeah.
I used to get their ketos, man, which I guess are just like smaller.
Yeah.
Or they're like crunchier and smaller. Like I used to crush those in high school.
Yeah. The Jose Olay freezer burritos are the best. And I can't find anybody around me that sells them. So every once in a while, I want to indulge in a little bit of garbage freezer food. So I save up my allowance. Yes, I have an allowance that I grant myself for my own play money. And I buy garbage, cheap food off of that. But I do like those Jose Olay chicken fajita burritos. Those are pretty good. Check for Tunnel says 2016 through 2019 was a great stretch of time.
Yep.
Yes, it was. And you know what? We didn't appreciate it. You don't know what you got till it's gone. Yellow Moth for talking to Check for Tunnels. He says it was the only good economy of my adult life, and corporations still wouldn't hire white men. That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. Only now you cannot be employed in a bad economy. Yay! Kevin Bratton, if the 101st can be used to force integration at the end of a bayonet, then they can deport in kind.
Yep.
Obviously
except referring the people, to Little Rock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Except the people who deployed the 101st to force integrate your schools. The reason they did it is because they want you dead. And so, no, they're not going to employ their troops to save you. They want you to die. Jada Geek says, I'm not in the SCV, Union Heritage.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, that may be the case, but at least you're friendly. You have repented of your Yankee ways.
Yeah.
And Check for Tunnel says, not joking about the ASVAB waiver. We were scouts in the surge, and no one wanted to join before the 2008 crash. Had one guy 40 years old and a few legit ASVAB waiver retards.
I didn't know that was a real thing. Okay.
Yeah. He says they did get filtered into other MOSs. The recruiters sent them, but the drills didn't let them go forward to the line. Well, at least somebody was looking out for you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he says, and the 101st is Jimenez and Esteban. That's right. Yeah. Jimenez and Esteban are not going to deport the Mexicans. Not going to happen. All right. Final thoughts, Sean.
Yeah, I guess like the thing I always tell people when they talk about like thank you for your service or whatever, and I've told some people, like the best way to be thankful is to just be an American worth fighting for, and apparently that's asking quite a bit from some people, because it's just nobody wants. It's just what are we fighting for? What do we fight for now, right? Like it's frustrating. You come back home and you're just kind of like, why don't we invade Texas and create jobs and build bridges and all that?
Mm-hmm.
It's depressing.
Yeah, why don't we instill democracy in the United States? If we love democracy so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty wild. Yeah, well, I mean, I hate for this show to be the Black Pill show, but you have to tell the truth. And I think part of the problem with the GOP right now is they want to pretend like everything's okay. Want to pretend like, hey, we're all going to be fine. Things are good. Trust the plan. Don't you worry. Don't you fret. You're a communist if you disagree. And it's not true. We are not okay. The kids are not all right. We are second-class citizens in our own country. We aren't even second class. We're third. We're fourth. We're on the bottom of the totem pole. Okay? And the people who have done this to us want to see you dead. And pretending like, oh, well, it's just a difference of opinion, man. The Democrats, they're the real racists. They're all a bunch of socialists. No, it's not that. They want to kill you. Okay? And it's not lying about this is not going to help anybody. Okay? We need to be honest about what's going on, what's wrong with our country. And if we can't be honest with ourselves, we aren't going to win. Lies do not last. Lies can't win. And Darryl Cooper of Martyr Made had this to say, and I think it was perfectly spot on. He says, people on the right can't get along because they're all operating from different stages of grief. Bargaining looks like collaboration to one still in denial, acceptance like treason to those who are still working through anger, and no one likes the depressed. We need to realize that the fact that we are, as a group, working through the stages of grief, that means we're losing. Now, here's the thing. Remember Reach, Halo Reach? He says, I know we're losing. What I want to know is if we've lost. We haven't lost, but we are losing. And we need to be cognizant of the fact that we are losing, that we are being demographically erased. We are being genocided in our own country by people who hate us and want us dead. And if we pretend like it's all just a difference of opinion, Trump's got a plan. You just got to trust the plan. No, Trump was bought off by the people who want to kill you. And he is signing you up for a war in which you will die for the people who want to kill you. And you are helping nobody except for the people who want to kill you when you pretend like this is all just a difference of opinion. Our economy is in shambles because people want to kill you. You can't get a job because people want to kill you. Your children are in danger walking around in public because people want to kill you. And if you walk around with your head in the sand, you and your family will suffer. The purpose of this show, of this podcast, is for future generations. If you want your children to succeed, you need to be honest about what's wrong with our society right now. Burritos should not cost $20. My children should be able to get a job and buy a house and have a brand new car right out of high school. You know how I know? Because that's what my grandparents did. It's possible. I know it's possible because it happened. You can't lie to me and tell me that this is impossible because I saw it. It was recorded on tape. It played before my very eyes. I talked to the people who did it. I know it's real. You can't lie to my face. Don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. I know it's possible. That's what I want for my kids. And I am willing to kill people to make it happen. Because that's what my ancestors did. We had a country once, and I want it back. That's what this is about. It's not about stupid Taco Bell junk food. It's more than that. And you know it. And you know it.
Yeah, well said.
I was talking to a friend of mine in a group chat today, and his pastor was working through the book of Judges, and he came to one of the judges who just up one day and killed a bunch of foreigners. And the book of Judges said, oh, and he delivered Israel. He wasn't a judge until he did it. He wasn't sanctioned by the governmental authorities. And what was the pastor's takeaway? And the pastor, the cucked minister, said, well, you need to go out there and be responsible. But don't do what he did, because we don't have any political power. But, yeah. Anyhow, well, with that said, folks, we need to wrap it up. I know this has been discouraging, but don't give up. If the situation were hopeless, their propaganda would be unnecessary. We can still win, and we are going to win because we don't have a choice. It's ride or die. And we're going to ride. But with that said, folks, it's time to go to bed, get some rest, sleep it off, because tomorrow's a day that we have work to do. God has prepared good works for you to do. If you're one of our Father supporters, we appreciate you. We're going to have an after show for you after this. And if you would like to become a supporter, the link is in the description, buymeacoffee.com. Stroke for future generations. We really appreciate it. But to everybody else, we thank you. Share this video, give it a like, maybe comment in the YouTube. That'll help us reach more people.
We need subscribers too.
We need subscribers. We're trying to hit 500 when we can be sponsored. Maybe make a little cheese. So help us out if you will. If you've got multiple YouTube accounts, subscribe on all of them, please. Anyhow, don't give up. Get some rest. We'll see you later. With that, folks, farewell.